Welcome to the Space Dreamers Podcast, a Sue Madre production.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Lift off and the clock has started.
Roger, 0J, and I feel fine. Roger, 0J, and I feel fine.
Check, check, check.
Check, check, check.
Sweet. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the Space Dreamers Podcast. We are here to discuss Arthur C. Clarke's 16th novel, which is titled The Songs of Distant Earth, released in 1986, I believe.
Yes.
1986. Smack right between, in the chronology, 2010 and 2061. So it's the only novel that people got whilst attempting to, or whilst waiting for the sequels to 2001. And it's based on a story that you and I read.
Yeah. Says that one was written in 1958.
Damn. Using mine in the oldies. What was that one called? I can't remember.
Oh, same title. The short story had the same title.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. I remember liking this book back when I read it. Reading it now in the whole with all of his other books, it's not the most exciting. I don't think it's a bad novel, but I think the ideas are really interesting, but the story is like kind of non-existent. There's like really not. There's like zero tension or conflict.
Yeah.
Other than like some scientific things that need to be figured out, but even then, they're figured out real quickly.
Yeah, like nothing really goes anywhere.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like nothing was like fully developed in this novel, and I feel like there was like not very good character development, especially.
I agree. Yeah, there's not. I mean, straight up, there's just like not a whole lot happening in this novel, other than the things that are like huge, these massive events that take place over like thousands of years. That's pretty significant, and it's pretty interesting if you like sci-fi. But yeah, in terms of characters and story, there's just really nothing going on there.
Yeah. It's like too many little things or something.
Yeah, the thing that's interesting is that I remember reading the short story and being like, oh, this is, when this gets expanded upon into a novel, I'm sure it's going to be even more of like a love story. But this book is like, doesn't even talk about, like that whole thing is like a background.
Yeah.
I think Clarke just wanted to explore the idea more than like those characters. So I almost feel like the short story is better.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know if this is true. This is on like Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but it says on Wikipedia that Clarke stated that this was his favorite of all his novels.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. Huh.
I think it's because the ideas are so crazy, you know, like you get a headache trying to think about how the timeline works in this book, like how
there's a timeline.
I know.
That's probably why. Yeah.
Well, no, I just mean like to think of the mental situation that you'd be dealing with in the fact that when you left Earth, right, when the people who colonized the Lhasa, right,
yeah,
when they left Earth, they were under the impression that it took like hundreds upon hundreds of years to get anywhere, right? So then in the year 3500, after they've been on their planet for 700 years, in their minds they're thinking there's no way anyone could come straight from Earth to see us.
Yeah.
But little did they know that in 1,000 years the technology advanced enough so that when did the Magellan leave Earth? Do you remember?
I don't know. I can't even. Oh, Magellan arrives 3820. Did Magellan leave on 3620 and then arrived
3829.
3820.
Yeah, because it took them 200 years.
No, 3827, and then it was on
Oh, leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
either way, the point is it's like they think in their minds that no one could have left Earth in the last, say, 700,000 years and survived, but they did because the technology advanced, which is just interesting.
Just to make sure that I get this. So, like, Earth, they knew the Earth was going to be destroyed. So they sent out the seed ships.
Mm-hmm.
And then very close to when Earth was destroyed, that's when Magellan left.
Yeah.
And then it was traveling and everybody was whatever, asleep or whatever it's called, whatever they were doing. And then were they supposed to stop on Thalassa, or was it just because their shield got...
I think it was because of the shield. Yeah, they're supposed to go to Sagan too.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know why they went to Thalassa, honestly.
Because it's all water.
True, yeah. Or like how they figured that they could have done that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they left, so like there were still people on Earth that like died when it got destroyed.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so we should
Because you would think they would take everybody with them.
Well, I don't know if maybe they couldn't. Or people
I'm
probably
sure they
chose
probably
to
couldn't.
stay too, you know.
Well, because there's that one guy that like his wife or whatever like stayed,
Oh yeah.
Evelyn, and then he went.
I don't know.
But again, it's not really like explained all that
Dude,
well.
this is the thing about this book. Okay. And I recently recorded what is, in my opinion, my favorite episode of this entire podcast, which was Amy and I discussing the film version of 2010.
Okay.
Because that movie is so nonsensical and terrible.
Ugh.
So it's like
Sounds
there's
fun.
well, but it's this book isn't terrible, so it's harder for me to like pinpoint. I can't just lash out at it, you know?
Right.
But there's just basically I read 170 pages from this book, okay, in one day.
Yeah.
And it was not difficult at all.
Yeah, but how much did you retain of it?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying is that
That's
like
what's
there's
hard.
not a whole lot, like nothing nothing exciting happens. Like
I
the
know.
ideas of what are happening are pretty interesting, I think.
Right.
But nothing like I can pinpoint literally one moment where I kind of was like, "Oh shit." And that was when the guy is on the gold foil thing.
Yeah, and he died.
And he got pulled up. And it's like literally one sentence where it says that he could see her upturned face. And like that is like good detail. But in a sea of a novel of like almost no moments like that.
To me, like that moment in the book, I was like, okay, wait. I was like, wait, okay, hold on. What just happened? Like, I feel like it was, I don't know. I feel like my mind like wandered a little bit while I was reading this book. And then
I don't blame you.
like with that part, I was like, oh yeah, he just died. But wait,
Yeah,
I had to go back and like read it again to make sure I got it.
Yeah, because there's no drama. He doesn't make a thing that is dramatic seem dramatic at all.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
it was the brother, right? It was.
Dude, I don't even know. I don't even. Who is Marissa sleeping with? Who's baby?
Oh, everybody. Oh, that's, I think, one of the things about this. I feel like Clarke was a little bit like, maybe I don't really know what this word means, but maybe it's because he's British. It was almost like cheeky. Like everybody was like sleeping with everybody else and had a crush on everybody else. And like I was reading somewhere in here that like the Thalassans, I don't think you're like, it's not like exclusive. Like,
yeah, until you have a kid, right?
Yeah. So like the idea of husband and wife is not like, it doesn't happen until you have a kid. But then Marissa is pregnant with Lauren's kid.
Right. Lauren
But then
leaves,
she already
right?
had a boyfriend or whatever he was.
Brant.
Yeah, but then there's like a part when she was talking about her brother and she was like, oh, and there were even moments where like she was kind of attracted to him. And I was like, whoa, Clarke.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I kind of got the idea it was like a free for all. Like the the mayor, I think, like also had a crush on Lauren.
Yeah.
I think Lauren and another male character had some kind of a romantic like it just kind of seemed like it was like free love.
I mean, look,
and I'm
yeah,
not saying
look
there's
at the-
anything
look at
wrong
the
with
co-
that.
Like, look what that woman's wearing on the cover. Like, that's the kind of shit. She has a flower in her hair. Like, okay, this is something
Yeah.
I don't like in science fiction, and it's something that Clarke does.
What?
And I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just a thing that just turns me off instantly.
Yeah.
It's this idea of like a futuristic society where like they understand advanced technology, but they live like,
Kind of primitive.
yeah, I
Yeah.
hate that shit. It just doesn't interest me.
It kind of did seem like
And
that.
Clarke does it a lot.
But this, I got the idea that Thalassa was like, I feel like there's something I'm thinking of in my head that it reminds me of, but it's like they just seem like unbothered.
Yeah,
like
it's utopia pretty much.
right. And they have like, I don't know what they are. Like Olympics. They're not Olympics, but they
Dude,
have like those like,
Yeah. I'm so glad that wasn't the climax of the book. Would be like stupid Olympics. Oh my god.
but I feel like they're just this like an island community that's like paradise.
Yeah,
It's
they
a
live in
paradise.
paradise, yeah.
Yes. And they just like switch, like boyfriends and girlfriends, and everybody's just like happy and nobody fights. And it was kind of like they had learned from like the mistakes that had been made on Earth, and they'd advanced enough that like they didn't have any of the problems. I don't know. I mean, like their government seemed like it was
It's very chill.
pretty good. Yeah. So it was like they'd gotten past all of the problems that we have,
Yeah.
and everybody was like good, which I know, like you say that all the time. Like Clarke loves a utopian society, and it's like, okay.
It's boring
Yeah.
to read about.
And it's just not that it matters, but it's just not realistic for there to
True.
be no problems.
Yeah. I feel like there's parts in this book too where they're like, oh, they haven't done this, or like they haven't explored that because they don't need to. It's like, yeah, but they're human and they would
Right.
explore shit. Like just because they don't
Right.
need to. I don't know. But basically, we should give like a quick rundown of like what exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, scientists detect the neutrino star in like the 60s. I'm going to do a real quick recap of this. And basically determine that the sun will go supernova 1,500 years in the future, basically from our present day, basically. So they start the big plan to leave Earth. And the way they do that is by creating these seeder ships,
Yeah.
which are basically just sent to a world that could potentially sustain human life, and they send the ships there. And I think it's explained that they don't expect even all of them to make it.
Yeah, I don't think so. And there's robots on them, right? Like there's not that like run them or something.
Yeah, I think that the people are all asleep,
Yeah.
and the
okay.
robots are like flying the ships. And basically, the Thalassa is a planet that was chosen and successly seeded.
Yes.
Which, how many people live there? Is it like 50,000? I think it's 50,000.
It's not a lot. I had a hard time getting an idea of
Yeah.
kind of, but it's 95% ocean.
Yeah, and it's literally like the best way to describe it would be if Hawaii was the only landmass
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the whole planet.
Yeah.
It's 3 distinct islands, and they have a government and all that stuff, and they've been there for 700 years.
And they're chill.
So it's like present. It's like on Thalassa when the story takes place is like basically the time. Oh no, it's 200 years because they say they watched it explode. It's like 200 years after Earth is destroyed by the sun.
Okay.
Because the
Yeah,
ship
yeah,
that
yeah,
comes
yeah.
to visit them, they say they watch the Earth from really far away get destroyed by the sun. So the action of the book is one of the last ships to leave Earth, only 200 years prior to the book taking place. One of the last ships to leave Earth, called the Magellan, and they're carrying in front of them a massive kilometers long iceberg to stop asteroids or any type of space debris, and it gets really damaged. So they stop over at Magellan to make more
No,
ice.
at Thalassa. Magellan's the thing, the ship.
Stop over at Thalassa to make more ice and hang out with the locals.
They're snowflakes. But and then Thalassa like hasn't been able to communicate because...
Oh yeah, they let their communication thing like...
Yeah, because they're so just like, hey man, that they just like don't even care. Well,
Right.
did something... There's also a
Oh
volcano.
no, Kraken. Yeah, I think the Kraken destroyed it.
Yes.
And then they just never bothered to repair it.
And Kraken, that was funny to me that they like adopted that as their like expletive, like
Right.
Kraken.
Yeah.
You know, this something happened.
Right,
like
right.
is just funny to me.
Yeah. So that's like the story, and then the whole story is just about basically kind of there's like these three characters: Kumar, Brant, and Marissa, and then there's Lauren.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You mean like on the
Yeah. So like on Thalassa, like the most important characters, I guess, would be Marissa, Brant. Brant and Kumar are brothers, right?
No, I think Marissa is. I
Brothers
think Kumar
with
is
Kumar.
Marissa's
Yes.
brother.
Okay.
Yeah. And Brant is her.
Lover,
Yeah.
but he's like kind of a dope. But he's
I get-
really not.
Well, yeah, that's what was weird
He's like
to
a
me.
scientist.
Yeah, but then they make him sound like he's like a meathead.
Yeah,
like
it's weird.
it's like
I don't know. So another thing that's going on, of course, is the Scorps,
oh yeah.
which that was the only part that I remembered. Like before I read this book, if you had asked me what this book is about, I would have been like, there's people on this planet from Earth that get visited from other people from Earth, and there are sentient lobsters.
Yeah,
But
they're big though. They're really big though,
yeah,
right?
they're like twice as big as a man.
yeah.
But I
And
hate
they
how he said
have bracelets.
he initially says they look like lobsters, but then he calls them scorps, like they're scorpions. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, but I like looked up like what a sea scorpion.
Is it creepy?
It looks huge. Well, I don't
I'm
know.
looking it
No,
up.
I didn't find a picture of it. I found I think it's something from a long, long time ago. So it was more like fossil,
I gotcha.
you know? I'm trying to think. But where did the scorpion broke into something?
Yeah, they have like a.
Is it where
they
they're
have-
making the ice or what? What
No,
was
no.
that?
That's before the Magellan even arrives. So they're like,
Oh,
well, at least the initial part.
I thought they knew about them, but then they found it in like
Well,
a thing.
remember the guys like in the very beginning. Brant is like, this component here was deliberately destroyed, and it's in a place that's clearly marked.
And they think it's somebody else.
Yeah, they think it's
other
another island.
people. That's right. That's right.
When really they find out that it's actually like somewhat intelligent
yes.
lobsters.
Okay.
Um,
Well, there you go. But I didn't really get like that. To me, that didn't go anywhere. Like, did it go somewhere and I just tuned it out? Like, did they figure anything out? Like, didn't they send something down to like
yeah,
follow it or something?
they don't figure any. No, you're right. It doesn't go anywhere. But the idea, I mean, the whole book is about like colonizing planets and like what happens when you arrive on a planet and there's something that's coming up
Yeah.
in the ranks of evolution and intelligence. You're just going to screw that up. I mean, and once again, Clarke, classic avoiding conflict. The Scorps live in the ocean, the humans live on the land, so there's like no contact.
But that's
So
like,
you don't even have to look at that issue in this book.
but that's, I mean, that's too bad because that is actually, that's very interesting. And I didn't like really get that at all. I mean, I guess, yes, to a certain extent, like I did, but I didn't think of it that way. I just thought of it as like, I
No, I
don't
agree.
know.
I agree because they're like, because at one point one of the Scorps comes up into the facility and it's like eating the kelp or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's when everyone's interested. And you're like, and at one point the question is posed like, why was one of the Scorps way up here?
Yeah.
But it's never answered. They're
Right.
like, oh, it was just a scout. It's like, okay, that's not like a plot. That's just
Right.
that's just a piece of information.
But what you said is a really interesting, like that planet was on its own path to whatever it was going to be.
Exactly.
And then humans came and screwed it up.
Well, I mean, maybe they
Or,
did.
yeah, it did. Maybe they didn't.
But that's kind of the point. I mean, you know, but it's just not explored very fully, I think, in the novel. But I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of the point of talking about I guess just to remind you that if you go around seeding planets as humans, like we're not the only ones here, probably on in other solar systems.
And it's like, yes, maybe like ocean is really good for humans, but it's also obviously very good for other species as well.
For life in general.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it makes your world 3D because you like don't have to worry about gravity.
That's true. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything specifically that I like.
I mean, there's some pretty epic like images in this novel, I think. Like the idea that you'd be able to see Magellan in the sky for those whole 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Or even like how they said when it finally leaves, how it's a star in the sky for like years.
Yeah.
Like that is a trip, dude. That hurts
I
my
feel like
brain.
this whole, I was just going to say, I feel like this whole novel and its idea of time, I was just like, I don't get this.
Even I was a little confused too.
Like I was like, I don't. So so you said there were 3 islands. There's the North Island, the South Island. What's the other one?
Don't know.
Okay, because I didn't know there were
99% sure
3
there were
islands.
3.
I thought there were 2.
Maybe the third is the one with Kraken on it.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because to me that was like a little bit like I was getting confused of people and like places in this because like what is Tarna? Is that like where they live or is that
I think that's like the town, yeah.
okay? And
or
then
maybe the island. I'm not sure.
okay, and then Terra Nova is like the Magellan, like where they kind of like set up like camp
I guess.
Yeah, I feel like there were also parts. There was like a part when I was reading the book where somebody was being talked about, and I was like, I legitimately don't know who this person is, and I like feel like I was like I should know who this person is, and then I just kind of like didn't care enough to go back and figure it out.
I don't blame you. And that's what's interesting. It's so weird too. Like, remember in the Fall of Moondust, how randomly at the end, all of a sudden, there's a subplot about the guy who snuck on.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
who cares?
Yeah.
Like with this one does this too. Like some little things come up at the end where I'm like, that's interesting, but it's too late for you to like bring this up because like I already don't care. So, like, what about the part with the gun? You remember that part?
With the gun?
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know. Wait,
well,
what? Tell
the whole
me what.
point is that the dude never uses it. But like, you know how there's the whole thing with the mutiny?
Well, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. There's the whole thing where people
A bunch of
want to stay.
Yeah, a bunch of people want to stay on Thalassa, which that's a fucking no-brainer, dude. Obviously, you want to stay.
But aren't they concerned about like what that's going to do to Thalassa? Like, aren't they very? Because doesn't Thalassa also have like a population control thing going on?
Yes. I think it's like 2 kids per person. But I think the issue is that they're like sowing discontent through the whole crew.
Yeah.
So they don't want the whole crew to say they want to live on Thalassa because A, that's like you have no control over your crew, and B, you can't do that anyway because you'll fuck up what what the Lassans have. So
Lassan. Okay, I was saying Lassan.
I said Lassan. It doesn't matter. So what was I saying? The gun.
The gun.
So the main dude. I'm sorry, not the main dude. The captain.
Captain Bay.
Commander Bay. Yes, he is trying to figure out what to do about that. Erickson, was that his name? Frederick. The guy who read the bounty on the mutiny or whatever the shit.
I mean, it might have been. I don't know. I was
okay. Either way, no. Let me finish.
Confused.
So the guy who is starting the whole coup.
Yeah.
The captain decides I might have to fucking shoot this guy. But it's like the gun is like it's like a thing that humans don't need anymore in Clarke's perfect utopia. But he's looking at he's like because he goes into like a closet or a safe or something. He starts pulling shit out, and one of them is the gun, and that's the whole point. Is that he's like, you know, humanity has gone so long without needing war, without needing guns, and like I might actually have to do this, but he never does it, of course.
Yeah,
Clarke fashion.
But then, like, what was going on when didn't they have like a meeting or something about, and then they were finding out like if people wanted to stay or go, and
yeah, there was like a debate.
Yeah, but was there something going on in like their heads or something?
Well, some of them weren't actually there.
Yeah, but
They were there on like holographic.
Okay. Yeah.
Hologram, rather.
Okay. Because then they were like, they could tell, like they said people had like a look on their face when they were like, because weren't they trying to tell who was like saying something or who was like writing or communicating something?
Yes.
So that was weird.
I mean, it's like every other part of the novel. It just happens and then you can move on. You know, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I must have been like tuning some of this out.
No, I was too. I just don't think about it as much. Like, if I didn't get it, then I just don't think about it.
Yeah, I guess that must have been what I did.
It's funny because what you're bringing up is interesting. And, like, we recorded a full hour, like I said, of literally just shitting on that movie. Because, dude, it's really terrible. But halfway through it, I go, dude, maybe Clarke just isn't good for adaptation. Because technically speaking, there's only one. I mean, 2001 was written with Kubrick in a unique circumstance.
Yeah.
2010 is a straight up adaptation of a Clarke novel. It is a big Hollywood movie adaptation of a Clarke novel, and it's terrible. But the thing that's so interesting about it is that it like really closely follows the book.
Huh.
So it's either just like filmmaking techniques were just wrong, or Clarke's work really only works on the page. Because one of the things Amy said when I mentioned that, she goes, yeah, because when you're reading the books, you don't get hung up on the technical stuff. And I think that you have admitted, you say that sometimes you do get hung up on the technical stuff.
Yeah.
Like if I read some technical shit in a Clarke novel and I don't get it, I just move on. You know, like
right.
If I get it, I think maybe my thought process is that if I get it, then I'm interested enough to understand.
Right. I think there was one chapter in here. I feel like it was called like academia or academy or something. It was something about like schooling that like, I swear like at the end of it, I was just like, I did not retain like anything from that chapter. So it was, I don't know, like it was, I think too that there was just like too much going on in this book and like it was not realized enough. Like this was not as I'm not saying this book is terrible, but it was not as enjoyable for me as like A Fall of Moondust, because that was just like a novel that like had a beginning, a middle, and an end, you know, like
had a plot.
Right. And this one, I was like, who is this person and what is happening? And the whole like timeline, the fact that was kind of lost on me. I was like, okay, whatever. And I got totally past that. But you're right. Like there were probably other things that I was like, what is this? And then there were probably other things that I was like, so didn't get it that I didn't even realize that I didn't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, it was fine. The other thing is this book, this is a very little book, like just so everyone knows, like you read it really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's what, 300 pages, 310
yeah, but the
pages.
The type is huge.
But like, it's a really short book, and it took me way longer than it should have to read it. Cause I was not compelled to like pick it back up.
Yeah.
And also maybe because I'd already read the short story and like knew, not that, cause this is actually really different than the short. I mean, a lot of it is the same, but it's very different. So maybe it was just like I knew kind of like what was going to happen.
I feel like I remember the story being like kind of good and like touching, you know, whereas this one, like when he was showing her at the end, like all the frozen people, I was like, this is creepy.
Yeah. And I think one of the things we talked about with, that short story was the fact that the main character is a woman.
Yeah.
But I think like in reading this book, it's like we don't get, I feel like he was trying to say Marissa was like kind of cool, but like we don't get to see that. He just kind of like says it. Like it's just like, and she was this and she was that. And like you don't, ever get to like see her being a certain way. It's just like described.
Yeah, she's literally just the like one of the three wheels.
Yeah.
That's like all she is in the book. But
Yeah.
it's one of those cheap ways I think that some movies and like books choose to claim that their female character is like cool or strong or powerful, is to basically just make them desirable so that it can do whatever they want when they interact with men.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what I got from her, was that just all these dudes are just falling over her. But like you said, we never see why.
Right.
So,
but I feel like that was one of the themes of this book, was like desirable people.
Well,
like
dude,
everybody was in love with Lauren Lawrenson. Like, interesting choice of name. And then like Kumar apparently was like such a babe that even his sister was into him. And then like, so I don't know. It was weird. It was like, and then like even when he died, it was because he was like fooling around with one of his girlfriends and then like went to show her something cool, and then like he died. Like it was just like,
well, I think that Clarke was just too much of like a scaredy cat to talk about sexual stuff. I think like more explicitly in his novels, because if you think about it, and this came up when we were talking about Imperial Earth, that like what, like you cannot control a bunch of people who come together from different worlds. Magellan's a world. Like they're gonna mingle and have babies. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's, and if that's like imperative to your mission for that not to happen, you know, then like you'd be screwed and you would have to keep them separate. But like, wait, and then at the end, doesn't the lady say no, don't bring Kumar with you, but then they do it anyway?
Oh, I thought that they said no, not to bring him. I didn't realize that they did it anyway.
I could have swore he like woke up at the end.
Well, because don't they say we want to take him because we can't fix him now, but we might be able to fix him in the future?
Dude, one of the characters, remember they woke up some guy he was like a lawyer or some shit?
Oh, yeah.
And like,
well, and Lauren almost died.
Wait, hold on. This part bothered me. This part bothered me. So they woke up this dude, and he was like literally paradise is below you.
Yeah.
Literally paradise. You are cooped up in a ship. Okay, you can go down and swim in the ocean, talk to the people, eat amazing food, blah blah blah. And I feel like the novel mentioned that he like watched a movie first or something, like from the records.
Oh yeah.
He was like, I'm just gonna lay back and hang out in the ship. It's like, dude, what? Paradise is right there.
Yeah.
It's just like everyone's just chilling in this book, and it's like no one's acting like they really would act.
Everybody is. Do you think that if we knew that, like, so if we found out that the Earth was going to be destroyed, do you think that everybody could like get it together enough to like come up with something like this?
No.
Yeah.
I would argue no, based on the last couple of years.
But because I think that that's what's like interesting about this, and maybe Clarke's other books too. I don't know, but like this faith in like technological advances, like medical like they just have such a faith that like things will get figured out.
Right.
Like, which is great. I mean, I don't know. I guess Arthur C. Clarke is like a best case scenario kind of a guy.
I mean, I don't, I disagree with that sentiment, honestly. But at the same time.
With what sentiment?
Just Clarke's vision of the future. It's always so positive, and it's and like we've expelled war from the whole planet. Like I just like, so what I want to say is that even though I don't like reading about that and I don't agree with it, I think society will benefit from more people talking about a positive future like that. Like I think people like Clarke should exist.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with him.
But that's,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah, but that's what a lot of people say, that like you need, like you have to be hopeful.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if like once the pressure's on, like, I mean, I guess you could kind of compare it to the pandemic.
Dude,
like
people
we
would-
needed a vaccine and like all this money, all this science, everything went towards it. Like it's just interesting. Like I just am thinking about this right now, but
Well,
it's like,
I guess you would look at it and like it would probably maybe it would be similar like statistics or percentages. Like I think plenty of people would get on the ship that they developed to go to another planet, but then other people would be like, this isn't real and we're not going to die.
oh my God, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
But even so, man, even so, how could, even so, the whole thing is fiction because how could you possibly, like, how could you, it's less believable that you could detect whatever a neutrino thing is in the sun and know that it's going to explode exactly 1,500 years in the future. That's more believable than like coronavirus is a hoax.
I tried to understand the whole neutrino, what was happening with the sun, and I like was clicking on like words, and then I was just like, I don't get this.
Well, it's
Just
whatever
like every
makes
word
suns go
I had
supernova.
I had to look up every sentence. I had to look up like most of the words, and I was like, forget it. I just don't know.
You just need to know that the sun's going to blow up.
Yeah, no, I
And
mean that
engulf
I
Earth.
get.
That's all it is.
But engulf Earth. Oh God, that just
That
does
is
not
gonna
sound
happen.
Good. No, I know.
But in like a billion years.
But also, there's like, it's just like humans like need to continue on. Like, you could just accept it and say, you know what, we had a good run. Here we go. But they're like, send us out to different worlds. Let's keep going.
That's the thing, man. That's the thing. That's the thing that I've realized most probably from doing this podcast and reading all this sci-fi. Look, no human wants to live on Sagan 2. No one. The way he describes Sagan 2, I mean, it's like part of the argument of this book is that like Sagan 2 sucks. You don't want to be there. Like that's what they say. They're like, we really want to go to Sagan 2, even though we're hovering over this fucking paradise planet. Like no human wants to live on Sagan 2. So if no human wants to live on Sagan 2, okay, let's say hypothetically Sagan 2 exists.
Yep.
No human wants to live there. What is the actual reason for sending humans there if Earth no longer exists? What is the actual motivation?
I don't know. What is the motivation in this book? I don't remember.
Well, regardless of this book, I just mean in general, dude, when people talk about this shit. What is the motivation? To prolong humanity. But my question is, why? Like, not even in a negative, like, nothing matters type thing, but just like, if living on Sagan 2 is worse than hell, and Earth no longer exists, so it's your only option.
Yeah.
Is it even an option?
Yeah, but like that's the thing about humans is like any advancements we've made, anything, it's only to benefit humans. Like we're not doing anything good to our planet. Like and anything good we may be doing now is in response to the bad stuff we've done to it in the past. Like it is very weird, like humans as like this blip in the universe,
right?
Whatever. And everything we do is just like to make us better.
Mm-hmm.
It's so the only point is just for us to keep going and to keep, and so it's just.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I believe firmly in like improvement, especially like I firmly believe that we should take care of Earth so that the next generation has a nice Earth.
Yeah.
But if there's no Earth, then like there's no point in living, in my opinion.
Right.
I get that you could disagree with that, like, but actual life off of Earth, it's never ever going to be fun.
Right.
It's never going to be a good idea.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe that's part of the problem. Like something that's that unnatural, like we just don't need to do it. Like if we're living here because of whatever, like we've evolved to be what we are and we can live on this planet, then that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to do that somewhere where that doesn't make sense,
Exactly.
then it's I don't know. But isn't that the whole human thing anyway? Like to just keep
Persevere.
like keep it going. Like keep people, which is just very weird because there's no end
Right.
to that.
Yeah.
So it's very
And
strange.
to like the impulse as humans or as creatures in general to like reproduce
Yeah.
is a natural impulse, but humans live in a completely not natural world now.
Right.
And to leave
Right.
Earth with the help of obviously not natural spaceships,
Right.
like they just conflict.
You're
with each
you're
other.
trying. It's like trying a little too hard.
Yeah.
Like
If Earth goes,
Yeah.
we go. That's what I say. So hopefully we're not the ones who destroy it. But
well, it's like like have you seen? Isn't there a thing that says like there's no planet B or something?
yeah.
And that's kind of the idea of this novel is like, no, there is. we just
There's several.
we just have to get there. So yeah, I mean, this maybe would have been bad. I wonder why it's his favorite novel. If that is true, I wonder what he loves. And I do feel like, I've said this and you were talking about adaptations, like to me, this would not be a good movie. I feel like we're always saying like, oh, this would make such a good movie because the only way it would be a good movie is if you just took one idea from it, I feel like, and then kind of ran with it.
Yeah, I agree.
But you can't, you'd have to cut
No, you know what you need?
so much of it out.
You know what you need?
What?
A GD main character. That's what you need.
Yeah, well,
think
then
about it.
that's-
This
so
novel
that's-
has no main character.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing you'd have to do is you'd have to have a main character and flesh them out a little bit and then
Yeah.
pick something. I don't know.
Yeah. Have a war with the Scorps at the end or something.
I mean, the score. Yeah, that probably could be a cool, or I don't know. Actually,
Maybe a
I'm
fantasy
not really
movie
sure.
would be cool.
I was thinking recently about like this year because of this, and I don't know what else, but I've read a lot of like science fiction and fantasy, and I was thinking, I to me they seem kind of similar, but I definitely think I like fantasy better, and I think part of it is because science fiction I do get like tripped up a little bit, and I'm like, is this real? Is this a real thing? Is this actually this?
Yeah.
And in fantasy, I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is made up.
Right.
Like I can accept it a little bit more.
Dude, it's
which
funny.
is funny.
It's funny too because in that recording about the movie,
Yeah.
I was making fun of a scene,
Yeah.
and then Amy goes, "But that's exactly the way it is in the book." And then I was like, "You're right, but it just doesn't work in a
Yeah.
movie." Because I think I don't know. Yeah, it's like
Well, maybe, I mean, I feel like Clarke is a little like cheesy or something. Maybe
he's so
we just
cheesy. He's
like,
hokey.
yeah. And I feel like
His
you said it
his
once.
humor is like G-rated.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe that's of the time. I don't know. But like you also said it once, and now maybe that's why I think about it all the time. But like every single one of these chapters like ends with like a little one-liner. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay.
Yeah. It's
Like
cool
maybe
and
a
it's
couple
cool.
of these,
Yeah.
but like we don't need every single chapter.
This book definitely benefits from chapters that are like literally 2 pages. That's one of the things that kept me going.
Yeah, it's funny though because I'm the kind of person that'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna read like one more chapter, and then
Yeah.
I'd flip the page and I'd be like, okay, we're gonna read another one though. But
Yeah.
can that one? Okay, and then
Yeah.
you'd get to like a really long one, and I'd be like, oh god,
Right.
where are we? What are we doing here?
Yeah, so overall, I think the ideas in this novel are good. I definitely don't think it's... I'm trying to think. There's like I would suggest this over Imperial Earth, which we recorded recently, which I found Imperial Earth to be like... It's like... I didn't like it that much.
Yeah,
But it was like the opposite of this one in that like it had a main character and it was like too much detail
oh,
about
okay.
one thing, whereas this was like not enough detail about too many things. But I would take this over that because I think this story, the idea of Thalassa and the whole sun exploding thing. Like all that stuff's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And it's not a difficult book to read, so
It's not. And I actually do feel like if I had, I don't know, like maybe I just should have read it differently. Like maybe I just really should have like tried to really get what was going on. And I don't know. Not that I didn't get what was going on, but maybe I should have tried to like retain the information a little bit better. Maybe just read the short story.
yeah, actually, yeah, it was better.
Yeah. It was a short story for a reason.
Yeah.
Arthur.
It is pretty trippy though to think like they mention how like Marissa loved Lauren and Lauren went to Sagan too, and they say that like the next time Lauren takes a breath, we will be dust.
Yeah.
Because they'll be in hibernation for 300 years.
But wasn't that like
that's a trip.
Wasn't that also in the short story?
Probably.
Yeah, like that. Like once, like it because it's
that's
like
another
however many
6
years
generations.
Yeah,
That's
it's kind of
crazy.
crazy, and it's kind of crazy that like she has his baby, so it's like
Yeah,
he's
that's
just
weird.
the next time that he takes a breath or whatever, like his kid is also dead.
That's a trip.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that like the Magellan would show up and be like, all right, we're splitting, we're going halvesies because you want to mix up the genes, you know? Like,
But I don't know what they wanted. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the other thing that I thought was really funny was that they were all like super, everybody was like, ooh, Lauren, like what a babe. But then when they described him, he sounded like he had like never seen the sunlight or something. Like
yeah,
he
they're
just,
all pale.
Yes. I was like, okay, like this is what we're into. Like it was
apparently.
just really funny.
Yeah.
Like, but then I also got the idea that the Thalassans or whatever they're called, Lassans, whatever, were like just like beautiful, like tanned people. But then at the end, wasn't his wife? Did his wife have dark skin?
Who?
Lauren's wife. Remember when she goes in and gets to see her?
I vaguely remember
I
something
feel
about
like she
skin
like
color.
described it, and it was weird. But I feel like that
Maybe
she
because
said
she's
she had
frozen
dark
or whatever.
skin.
I don't know. Maybe she's black.
Well, I feel like she could, but that's what I was kind of wondering about.
She could have been.
Yeah, I don't know. But like also she didn't have like hair or something, or he couldn't see it. I don't know.
No, yeah, she didn't have hair. They're all bald.
Why don't they have hair? Because they
I don't
can't
know,
be
'cause they're
sleeping
in
with hair.
Frozen. They're in cryo sleep, dude.
Good God. Why? Oh my God.
What?
You got to shave your head before you do that.
I don't know. I'm sure that he explains that.
Okay, well, I didn't understand it. I was like,
I just assumed.
you just assumed that people don't have hair when they're.
Yeah, because he
Okay.
said it. Why else would she be bald?
Why does she need to be bald?
I don't know. It's a made-up technology.
All right. I don't know. I just think that that's weird.
I agree.
He was just like, you know what we're going to do?
No, but that
We're going to make you
part,
be bald.
that line was actually not cool because he says like he says some shit about like no woman, like women. It's wrong to judge a woman without the beautiful crown of her hair or something like that. And it's like, women can be bald and be beautiful. Like, what are you talking about, Clarke? Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't think he even knows what he was talking
Yeah,
about
I don't
with
think
this
so either.
with this book.
Overall, I think the ideas are cool, but the book itself is like, has no plot.
Yeah.
That's all there is
it's
to
just
it.
a bunch
There's
of little,
no plot.
A bunch of little ideas.
Like it's just
or
like
big
even
ideas
when
that are
what's
not
his name?
explored.
Like Lauren died.
Oh, yeah, what the hell?
I was like, hey, something happened. Next chapter, he's fine. They revived him.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, okay. I
Lauren,
guess.
he's like a god. He's like
Yeah,
this beautiful, really white-skinned guy.
yeah, beautiful, pale, ghostly god. All right, you want to talk about the movie?
Sure.
Dude, where did you find this movie?
On Hulu.
You just found it?
Yeah, so I was watching something on Hulu, and then I saw, it shows you things. And so the first movie that I sort of saw was called Love and Monsters. And then I was like, I don't really think that's like sci-fi, but it looked kind of cool. And then I think it was from there that because I like looked at that, it showed me other movies. And then I also realized that I'm sure all the platforms have this, but it has a whole like sci-fi section.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess the reason why I suggested this movie is because it kind of feels like it's not anything we've watched. It's not like anything we've watched yet.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it.
It's recent. It was made in 2020.
Damn.
So it's like really recent movie.
I was going to say, dude, there's like literally 2 actors in this movie. That must be why.
Oh,
'Cause it's,
maybe.
like quarantine shit. They were like, what can we film? Oh, this script we have over here with only 2 people in it.
Well, I read an interview with the people who made it. It's made by like a couple.
Nice.
A guy and a girl. Written and directed by them.
Sweet.
And in the interview, they said it's kind of a roast of like themselves. Like they're from Brooklyn.
Nice.
So I think that's one of the cool things about the movie is it's kind of poking fun.
Yeah, it's very modern.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's not like in your face modern. So here's the thing. I'm glad you said that because that'll be like the first point I want to bring up. First of all, you knocked it out of the park with that suggestion.
Oh, thank you.
I love that movie.
I was worried you weren't going to like it.
Nah,
I said to Amy and Mallory, I was like, I don't know what Jared's going to think of this. And then when you texted me and were like, this movie's fire, I was like, hold up. I got an announcement to make.
Dude, I found it to be a really, really good movie. Like, it for only one reason, it had like Slither vibes. Because I feel like Slither does sci-fi really well, but it's also competently hilarious.
Yeah.
This movie, like, the sci-fi was good.
Yeah. There's one thing about this movie I didn't like. Do you know what it is?
It was so funny.
Do you know what I didn't like about it?
The ending?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get that. I was not fully aware of what that was all about.
I feel like we should say the movie we're talking about is called
yeah.
Save Yourselves.
True.
With an exclamation point.
But wait. So
and you can watch it on Hulu for free.
Yeah. But wait, what was I going to say?
Oh, the point you were going to bring up. You said I knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
But then does that remind you of what you were going to say about the movie?
Wait.
You were like, the first point, we were talking about Brooklyn.
Wait. Yeah, okay, because
all right, go ahead.
One of my biggest problems in movies, one of my biggest problems these days in movies is when characters don't act like they're people.
Oh, yeah.
Like when the motivation, like when I see in a movie and I'm like, this character, based on everything I know, is going to do this, but then they do something totally dumb and stupid, and it takes the movie in a totally different direction. I feel like it happens often. In this movie, it was such a perfect, like the sci-fi and the real life thing that they were doing fit so perfectly together.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a good idea and a modern idea to say that these people are unplugging.
Right.
Which would then allow an alien invasion to happen and they wouldn't even know.
Right.
Like, it's so interesting. And then when I found myself, dude, this is what I'm saying. When you are conflicted while watching a movie, that's when it's good. Because like these Clarke novels, they have no conflict. So you're never conflicted.
Yeah.
You're like, who gives a shit what happens?
Right.
In this movie, there's the part where she checks her phone, finds out that there's like alien rats in New York City.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back inside, I was like, don't tell him.
Right.
I was like, don't tell him. But at the same time, like in my mind, I was just like, I wish there was a way for her to be like, look, I lied.
Right.
I did what I was supposed to, but we could save our lives because I did that.
Well, but remember when they're like, when she does finally tell him about it and he's like, they're like, we should check our phones. No, we shouldn't. And then he's like, no, we need to check our phones.
Yeah,
like it's, I did like that, how they were like trying so hard to do what they were going to do. But so, I mean, I feel like if you had never heard of this movie, I had like heard of it, but I didn't know anything about it. But it was made in 2020. It's about this couple in Brooklyn that decide to unplug, get off their phones, the internet, whatever. They go to their friend's cabin in upstate New York. And like, I thought there were some really cool shots in this movie too. Like when the things were like flying out of the sky, when they left the gas station.
Dude,
and then they were flying.
The music in this movie was so good.
Yeah.
There's like a little horn. There's like a little song that played with horns in it.
Yeah. When I looked it up online, you can like, I didn't get into it because I was looking at other stuff, but you can like, you know, like click on the guy. There's like stuff about the guy who made the music.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't know what else he's done, but it's like the movie is what I was writing some stuff. So they said it starts off as a classic rom-com and then turns into like a creature.
Dude, it's
film.
so funny. It's so I watched it today. It's so funny that you're saying that. I'm like, is the beginning a rom-com? Dude, it doesn't matter what the beginning is because like I knew it was sci-fi, but I did not think about the sci-fi in the beginning at all, just because it's just good.
Yeah.
Like at no point was I like, I wonder when the aliens are going to show up. Like I didn't think about what genre it was. I literally felt like I was watching just a movie about two people that I know. Because first of all, like I feel like those actors are perfect.
I really liked them.
They're good looking, but they're normal people good looking.
Right.
You know, like they don't look like movie stars, but they don't, you know. And then also, dude, the guy looked exactly like my friend from college.
Oh, really?
Who was like funny also the way he's funny. So
he was funny.
I just thought it was funny as hell.
And I loved the whole like, cause and when I was reading about it, like the poof, like the idea of these poofs, like that was so perfect to me because like even when they have the conversation and they're like, I don't know, like I didn't know what a poof was. And she's like, you know, it's like a furry footstool.
Yeah.
And it's like they picked that whole idea because that's like something that's like a thing right now. And it's something that someone might have in their apartment. So it had to look like it could have been there when they got there.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was just like really perfect. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I loved that. And how they were just like easily tricked by it. Because the first one they see is brown. And so it's like, it looks like it could be. Oh, and I loved when they were like watching the shooting stars and he's like, did that one hit the earth?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I don't know. They did a perfect job. And then the kind of like horror parts of it, like, remember when it just like showed, it was like when they were playing cards or whatever they were doing, and then it like went to outside and their friend was just like standing there and he had like a thing around his head and he like was, I don't know, did he fall over or something?
Yeah, he fell forward.
Yeah, like that was super creepy. And then the part when they were like leaving the house and like you saw the house in the background and it was just like covered in all these different color
Poofs.
like poofs. I thought that was really cool too. And then I mean, this is gross or whatever, but I love the fact that they like ran over the guy and they were just like, what was that? But then they were like, we just need to go. Cause like they didn't know the friend was out there.
Yeah. You're right.
Remember? And they like, and you're like, that was your friend that you just ran over.
Yeah.
So I thought it was, I don't know. I just like, that was a cool, like, what's it called? Like callback or whatever. I don't know, to like what had happened earlier that you knew, but they didn't know.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I thought it was good. And then like when I was reading the interview with the people who made it, they said like they didn't want you to really like, because you don't know what's going on. Like you know about as much as the people know, which is nothing.
Yep.
And so they like wanted it specifically to be like that. And the fact that like, because you know how like the one like they have those like tongues or whatever, and and so like the one gets on the guy, and then she like cuts it off,
and the fucking phone saved him, dude.
I know,
it's so good.
Yeah,
it's
but
so
like
good.
To me, I was like, ooh, okay, they just figured out how to kill them. So I feel like in a lot of movies, like let's say like blockbuster movies where this happens, they would be like, all right, we figured out how to kill them.
Yeah,
let's go. But it's like actually that's not realistic at all. I mean, whatever. I guess when you're watching a movie like this, it doesn't really matter what's realistic. But this movie made it a little bit more realistic. Like so you killed one, you just got to move on.
Right.
Like, I thought that was cool about it too, that it almost felt like they felt like real people.
Yeah, it was a more grounded approach. I
Yeah.
agree completely. And I like that, dude. I like that in movies where like they tell you almost nothing, but it's so creepy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I feel like maybe kind of in Signs, how you only see what's happening
right
in this one house, but you're aware that it was a worldwide thing. But they don't ever show that. So like, I think that some movies try to do that and fail, but I think this one did it perfectly. Especially like as soon as the mom was like, this Brazilian rat infestation in New York City, I was like, oh shit, like that's these things.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I like that how you get secondhand information.
Right.
I mean, dude, if aliens invaded, everything would be secondhand. You know, like
right,
in movies,
right.
Yeah, like they're like, we figured out their weakness, and it's like, how do you know that? You only know that because it's in the script.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, I guess, yeah, it's. But wait, there was something else. I loved like the little problems that would come up. Every little problem felt believable.
I know.
Like with her contacts, how she was like,
oh my gosh,
she's like, I lost a contact, and I was like, it's just so funny, dude. It's like normally it's like, oh, it's just a movie. Like pretend like you don't have contacts.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I was legit. I was like,
he was like, you don't have glasses, and she's like, I didn't like the way they looked. I threw them away. Or also when she was like, she was like, I don't have my birth control. She's like, I'm gonna get my period, and he's like, that's how that works. Like it was just like, you're right. Like it was like real things that like you would think of. Or when they were going through the fridge, and he's like, okay, we've got quinoa, we've got microgreens. Didn't we think to get anything that's like gonna like it was just because they were so those kinds of people.
yeah,
Like, oh, and I loved too when they were reading all the text messages, and they were like, I don't know what the friend's name was, but they were like, so and so is like, and I don't know, she said a word that you didn't know what it was, but it was because it had been typed incorrectly and the word was dead.
Right.
So it was just like there were a lot of like little things that like made it really real. Or even when she was asking about like, is ethanol like in this and this, and he's like, I don't have the answers to these questions.
Or how about how both of them didn't know that the reason their car wasn't siphoned is because it was diesel.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
the lady said it?
Yes.
She's like, this is diesel, right? And I remember when she said that, I was like, you're not going to get an answer from them.
Yeah.
They don't fucking know what it is.
That whole part was like,
so dude, that
crazy.
Yeah, because that part, this is what I'm saying, dude. All of a sudden, that part was like straight out of Children of Men or something. Like that part was actually awesome.
I was really worried when it did show the part with the friend standing outside of the window. I was like, or maybe this is just me because I get scared easily, but I was like, oh, is this going to get like really scary? But it never did. But like, I did like the fact that I just like wasn't sure.
Right.
And then when that whole part happened, like with the lady in the truck, like the baby, like that was interesting too, that they like ended up with a baby, and they were like, we can't be the people that like left the baby. And then like when the lady got up out of the truck and they were just like, where did she come from? Like that, dude. I was like, oh no. Like I was really like engaged.
That is interesting too, because they don't know where she came
They don't know where she came from.
To this day, they'll never know.
Exactly.
We know. But like
that, or like, remember when they were in the canoe? Remember when it showed that guy running and you were just like, what the hell? And then they were in the canoe and they were like closing their eyes. And then, did you see it? The guy came running out of the woods and something grabbed him and he was like, ah! And like flew off to the side.
That sounds vaguely familiar. That was when they were in the canoe?
Yeah. And they were like, okay, we're just going to like feel each other. And then she's like, no, don't like actually touch me.
I remember that. Then.
So the funny part about this is that I actually had to rewind it because I wasn't sure what I had seen. That guy came running out of the woods and then a poof must have got him and killed him. And he made like a little noise. Like he was like, ah! And they were just like, oh, but that was part of the thing. Like, remember he was like, the frogs are croaking or whatever. Like they just weren't used to the noises of the woods.
True. Yeah.
So like, I thought that was really clever. The fact that this guy got like murdered, just like,
They wouldn't know.
yeah, but they didn't see it and they didn't hear it. They didn't know what the noise was.
Yeah. Well, I do want to say that it connects to how we were saying that these are like real people.
Yeah.
That when they almost drove away from the baby, I literally said out loud, I was like, there's no way you're leaving that baby.
Yeah.
Like I believe that you, like, I think I said, what I said like aligns with what I'm saying now, which is that like, you are so, like, the movie does such a good job of making them seem like real people.
Right.
That it's to the point where you kind of know them as if they were real.
You're right.
And when you think about them as real people, they would never leave a baby. So I was like,
I know. And then I got
This
really
isn't-
nervous
yeah,
when the
it's-
baby crawled away because they were like drugged.
there were definitely parts in that movie, very few parts that were predictable to me. I knew that they were gonna wake up and the baby was gonna be gone. I fucking knew it, dude. And of course, that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, because he was like crawling away. But then I was like, this movie is not going to let anything happen to the baby. So I mean, maybe the baby parts were a little predictable. And that just like the fact that it was like had the same name as the guy. And they were like, oh, we have a baby Jack. Oh, what is wrong? Are you all right? But I was in the interview with the people that made it. They said they wrote the movie for those two actors. Like they wrote the parts.
Who are those people?
Do
you know?
The girl was on that show Glow.
Okay.
So I recognized her right away because she's very recognizable. And the guy, I looked it up and I don't recognize him, but he was on Stranger Things. And
He looks 80s.
yeah. And then the guy that tells them, the friend Raph, who tells them about the cabin, is from High Maintenance.
Oh.
So I think that was like what I remembered, like something I had seen. I was like, oh, it's that guy. Like he's very recognizable to me.
That dude is recognizable to me too, but I didn't know what from.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the part where she was dragging him away and that dude was on the table
What?
like this?
She was dragging who away?
The girl was dragging her boyfriend out of the house at one point. And
Okay.
I think maybe they were drunk, but he looked at the table as he was getting dragged out, the counter, and that guy was laying there like this.
He's probably just being a weirdo.
like in a hallucination thing. It was fucking weird.
Oh, yeah.
No, in the cabin. Do you remember that?
Yeah, because he has like night.
Oh, yeah. He has
Visions.
night terrors, dude.
Those were horrifying. But like, I liked that too. Like, I liked how like ignorant they were of what was happening. So like, normally they like how they should have been more freaked out, but then because they didn't know what was going on. And like when he woke up and was like, there's a lion in here. And I was like,
Yeah.
shit, like this is really scary. But like to them, it wasn't scary
Right.
because that's something that he does.
Right.
And like, yeah, it was good. I liked it. I was worried you weren't going to like it. I was like, oh, he's going to be mad at me. So I'm glad that you liked it.
No,
Or not
dude,
that you would be mad at me, but
I thought it was
like, oh, you
hilarious.
made me watch a stupid movie. Yeah, I liked it too. I'd say it's like it obviously it flew under the radar.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was funny is when I was reading the interview with the directors, they were saying like now that this whole pandemic has happened, they were like, would an alien invasion be preferable to this pandemic? Like if you think about it, it's like the alien invasion like happens really fast and like nobody has time to think about anything. And like then you have this slow moving disaster of a pandemic that I think people have way too much time on their hands. And it's just, that's probably not a good thing.
Right.
But I thought that was kind of a funny thing to say.
Yeah. It's like I would watch this movie again. I think it was like funny. Like
Yeah.
it was, and plus I love short movies these days. It's like it's like
I know.
94 minutes.
And I do have to say, so I didn't really like the ending. I mean, I don't really care that much,
either.
but I didn't love the ending. But they said that like so the people who wrote the movie, they know what happened. They just don't want anybody else. Like they
That's
want
so
you to
lame.
just like they have their ideas about like everything, but they want you to just decide, because some people see what happens as a bad thing, and some people see them as being saved.
Okay, so this is what I think. I wasn't even. I mean, the ending is just like. I mean, space alien invasion movies are hard to end. We either win or we don't. You know what I mean? So when I first saw that thing, the crystal thing,
yeah,
I thought in my mind, in terms of like design, visual, color, that is the opposite of the poofs. So in my mind, it struck me as that's another alien race coming to clean up the poof situation.
maybe.
That's what I thought. So then when they like got wrapped up in it, I was like, because that's my initial thought, and like the whole kind of point of the ending is that they tell you nothing.
Yeah.
That's just stuck in my head. And when I watch that ending scene, I think these people are being saved by like the cleanup crew of
that's
the
interesting.
universe.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of the ending of the film version of Dreamcatcher is that Duddits is actually an alien.
Right.
And he's been on Earth waiting for the Greys to invade. So it's like Earth is just a battleground where humans are caught in the middle of basically like, you know, like if you let rats infest your house and they like ate your hamster, the humans would be the hamster on Earth. The rats would be the poofs. And the exterminator would be this other alien race that comes down to be like, we've dealt with these fuckers before. Stay back. We'll take care of them. We'll just bring you up high. We'll flamethrow your entire planet and get rid of these poofs, and then we'll be out of here.
Well, the poofs
But
were...
wait,
Oh,
I'm sorry. Wait.
Go ahead.
So here's the thing, though. Remember the opening shot of the movie? There are words on the screen.
What does it say?
It says something along the lines of, this is the last day that Earth belongs to humankind.
Oh, yeah.
So that's got to mean something.
That's interesting that I completely forgot about that.
I mean, it doesn't fucking mean anything when you see it. You know? It's just vague and random.
But that's one of the things that's hard about stuff like that, is that you should go, oh, remember that thing?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess.
But the poofs had different personalities, because the first poofs that they saw seemed like a little afraid of, like, remember when the poof like scurried out of the house?
Yeah. Sorry.
So like that poof wasn't trying to kill them.
You didn't see any booze. I don't think any of them were trying to kill him. They were looking for ethanol. But then, dude, the only time you see a poof kill a human is when a human pulls a gun on it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I loved the part when like they found the baby and she was like, I can't tell if the poof is looking at us or looking at the baby. Because like the poof is just like...
has no face.
Yeah. It has... It's like that... it's like... It's like the thing in Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi? Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that guy's name was.
The poof was better. It was like Thomas or something. It had something like normal
that.
name.
But it had no...
Trevor Slattery was talking.
Yeah.
Trevor Slattery.
Like Norris or something.
Norris.
Was it Norris? Yeah. But remember, they were like, where's its like face?
Yeah.
And he's like, he's sensitive about that.
The poofs looked way better. Like, why can't Marvel just have real poofs?
The poofs were awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said, I loved that shot when they were all like taking over the house.
Yeah.
Because you also got the idea that they kind of got out of that house like
just in time.
And there were other really cool shots in that movie. Like I did like when they were running from the house to the barn or whatever it was. Like that was kind of a cool shot, because you were like, oh shit, like they've got to go far. I loved like their go bags and how they like practiced.
Right.
Like they were like, we can do this, you know, okay, it was 23 seconds. Like, I thought that was cool. I liked the way that they did this. And I do think that the main characters are very likable, which if they weren't, the movie would be a lot harder to watch.
Yeah. So
I did like them.
I agree. Overall, I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, I did too. So it's probably a movie many people haven't heard of.
Yeah.
So
Definitely check it out. Hulu, Save Yourselves with an
Yeah.
exclamation point.
I mean, Hulu definitely has some good movies on it. You just have to go on and like look for them. And I guess they have cool show. I just don't watch a lot of shows that are on Hulu. Oh, Hulu's where like Handmaid's Tale was and stuff. That's probably what the most people.
Isn't that
like,
Nicole
have it
Kidman
for.
show on Hulu?
Oh yeah, 9 Perfect Strangers was on Hulu. That's over now.
Is that sci-fi?
No.
Oh. What's it about? A cult?
No.
What's it about?
It's about 9 perfect strangers who go to like a.
Yeah, but there's some creepy shit going on. What's going on?
It's not. It's drugs. She's like giving them drugs.
That's it?
She gives them drugs and then they like see things
What do they see?
like dead people.
Why?
Because, well, only one family sees.
Are they being punished?
No. They all go there to like be healed in some way.
Got it.
And so there's this one family, the Marconis, and it's a mom and a dad and a girl, and their son, her twin brother, killed himself. And so they're having obviously a very, very hard time with that. And so then she's like microdosing them, and then they figure it out, everybody, and then they figure it out. But then she notices that the daughter, when she's on drugs, sees the brother. So then she's like, I can help you like see him and like talk to him. And that's what she helps them do. And then it's actually like, I thought that was a very like touching part of the show. Like he tells them, he's like, stop being sad about me. And it's like kind
It's
of
just one family?
nice.
No.
Everybody else is like doing other stuff. And then they're all trying to get better.
Wait,
so
so
then
my
she
question-
like makes them think that they're going to die. And they all say like, oh, here's what I wish I'd done with my life. And then like they realize they're not going to die. It was just like a therapy. Because they think they're in like a room and it gets really hot and they can smell fire. So they think it's burning down. So they all say like, this is what I would do. This is what I regret. This is what I wish happened. And then they like go out and they do that
But
stuff.
my question is, Nicole Kidman, is she being like, what is her motivation behind drugging all these people who came to her for help? Does she actually think
It's
that
part
will
of
help them?
the therapy. Yeah. Because she
So there's
was.
nothing malicious going on in this show?
No, there's honestly really not. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. But
it has like a creepy tone to it.
no,
initially,
it definitely. So she's getting death threats, like the Nicole Kidman character, and the reason she is the leader of this place, Tranquillum, is because she died. So someone shot her, and she was like basically dead. But then I don't know, she came back
Revived her?
to, yeah, whatever.
She's Kumar.
So yeah, so she decides from then on that like that's a better way to like live your life.
Oh.
And then because she was like super corporate and she just like was, like had all
Uptight.
having like affairs and everything. She just could do whatever she wanted. She like took life for granted. And then she was like, oh. And so people can like sign up to come to this place. And then like one of the guys who's there is an investigative journalist. So she's like, no, do a story about me. Like, that's fine. Like, please. And then one of the women you find out is the person who tried to kill her or killed her, whatever. And then she's like, I forgive you. It's okay. But I don't know. So it was good though. I mean, it was good.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. It
Yeah.
definitely tricked me. Like I thought based on the trailers that it was about some creepy shit.
Yeah. You never really knew like what was going to happen.
Is Melissa McCarthy the one who tried to kill her?
No.
Okay.
I actually really
spoiler
liked.
alert to everyone in case.
I really liked Melissa McCarthy's like storyline.
Uh.
It was talk about predictable. Like literally, there's like two characters, like a man and a woman, who like meet and like hate each other because they're opposite, and then by the end of the story, they're like in love. So you kind of like, there's very predictable parts, but then there's other parts where you're just like,
It sounds like it gets wrapped up nicely. Is it a miniseries or is it?
Yeah,
a
it's
show?
over.
Oh, okay.
It's based on a book, but I guess the book is. I haven't read the book, but I know people who've read the book, and I guess the book is like super, super different, like completely different.
Tranquillium sounds like sci-fi.
Tranquillum, yeah.
Tranquillum, yeah.
Which is like kind of what I'm finding is just it's interesting. Like you can take a story and use it as your base, but then make something completely different out of it.
Yeah.
And it is kind of interesting because I feel like we've talked about this probably on this podcast before, like getting really caught up in like a movie being just like a book.
Right.
And it kind of doesn't have to be. Like you can kind of take, as long as you're giving credit where credit is due and saying, I got this idea from this
Right.
book, like you can. And I think it's even cool when, because I think the woman who wrote the book, the author, is involved in the show. So I think
Okay.
that's very cool to like be like, okay, yeah, like here's this idea and I developed it in this way, but like you're going to take it and you're going to do something different with it.
Yeah.
It's the same author that wrote Big Little Lies.
Oh.
So
She must be rolling in the dough. Isn't that a TV show?
yeah, that was a TV show.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
that to me though is like a TV show that again like should have been just one season.
Oh yeah.
Like, but then they made it into something.
Well, what about
more.
like The Ruins? That's written by the same guy who wrote the novel.
Yeah.
He adapted his own screenplay. And what's funny about that movie, dude, or like I love that movie, but like
I don't remember that movie,
it's so horrifying
but so is
and
the
disturbing.
book.
Yeah. But what's interesting is one character, there's like for the movie, there's one less character.
Okay.
And so what's interesting is that when you watch the movie, right, they meet up, it's 4 people that meet up with a German guy who's going
Right.
to take them to this
The ruins.
this pyramid thing,
Yeah.
right? And when they get there, clearly they realize they're in some shit. They don't really know each other. Like they're trying to survive, but like these 4 people don't know this German guy. Like you can be friendly with someone, but if you don't know them and you're in a dire situation, like
Right.
are you going to be
That's gonna kinda
chit-chatty?
suck. Yeah.
But either way, the point I'm getting at is that guy falls down and breaks his back so that he can't use his legs. So they get him up top and they put him on a stretcher. The dude has almost no dialogue after that moment in the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
So then you read the book, and in the book, there's one additional character, and it's a person who doesn't speak any English, and he's the one who breaks his back. So then you realize that the reason this character who speaks English in the movie has almost no lines while he's on his back is because in the book, there's no lines to be had.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But they kind of combined 2 characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The character who breaks his back in the book is just with them without a broken back,
Right.
just involved in the problem solving. Whereas
Yeah.
this guy who doesn't speak English, he doesn't speak. You know what I mean? So it's just so funny to then watch the movie and be like, that's why that character stops talking.
Yeah.
You know?
That's such a good book. I barely remember the movie.
I've seen the movie so many times. I love that.
Really?
I used to own it. I love that movie.
Huh.
Dude, okay.
Doesn't that have one of those endings? Doesn't she drive away, but then
Oh, yeah, dude. And it's like,
in her eyeball or
yeah.
something, and you think, and then you're like,
She's
well,
probably
wait
going
a
to
minute.
spread it.
Oh boy.
But dude, I think there's something to be said about that's one of those movies that I would just catch glimpses of it on HBO back when there weren't streaming services.
Yeah, yeah.
And like every time I'd see a glimpse, I'd be like, I can tell this is a good movie. Like I can just tell.
Yeah.
And then finally I watched the whole thing and I was like, shit, that was amazing. But I feel like there's something
So
to be
did you read the book after you saw the movie?
Yeah. I used to
Okay.
watch the movie like on HBO at mom and
Yeah.
dad's house.
I read the book before I watched the movie.
Yeah, nah, dude. I'll never forget like when she's sitting down there with the light and she like flashes on the flowers and they scream.
Ugh.
They like make the cell phone noise. Oh, so horrifying.
Yeah, that I was just talking to somebody about that book, and I was saying how that book is not scary. Like,
disgusting.
and I've said this before, like I get very scared in movies. I don't get scared when I'm reading books because it's just not happening like quick enough for me to like get that reaction.
Yeah.
But when I read that book, it's like, ugh, like it's more like gross and like,
Yeah.
I guess it's like horror in the sense that it's
like it's almost psychological, even though they could die.
and it's all, and like, isn't there something in that book and maybe in the movie too, I don't know, where like, it's like self-inflicted, like,
Well, I was just going to ask you
that
that.
always,
Do you remember, does that happen in the book?
yes.
The girl thinks she has a vine in her.
Yes.
She just like cuts her whole body up.
So that is like a concept that's like really creeps me out.
Okay.
So because like to be that, like, I don't know, like to be that messed up
Right.
that you like are hurting yourself and not caring
Not
because
in your right mind.
Right. So like that book did a good job of like just like giving me the creeps.
Yes, I agree.
Like whereas I've read other scary books and they're not scary to me, but that book really kind of freaked me out. But I also
agree.
really, really liked it. And I do feel like that was a book that I got really good like images in my head of like what it was describing. Like,
It's
isn't
like
there something where they're like,
it's a very like clinical description of something that's scary.
yeah,
if that makes sense.
and then isn't there something where like, because don't they go up on the ruins and then the people, like,
Yes.
don't they go through like a tribe, like the people who live there?
Yeah.
And that's
they know about the pyramid.
yeah, and then they like won't let them down or something. So
Yeah, that's what's so cool about the movie. They
Yeah.
can easily escape and live, but the people won't let them leave.
yeah,
So they're trapped on a pyramid with something that's trying to kill them.
oh, that's a good book.
And dude-
that's a really good book.
And in the movie, when the girl goes, the part you're talking about where she's cutting herself up,
Yeah.
the plants are the ones they're like, I want to cut, I want to cut, I want to cut, like telling her to cut herself. It's
Who's
so
in that
horrible.
movie? Isn't it like sort of, when was that movie made?
Dude, give me a second. Came out in 2000 and these are all guesses. You ready for this? I'm going to say The Ruins came out in 2008.
Let's see if you're right.
And it has in it the girl from Donnie Darko, as well as
The girl who?
2 other male actors and another female actor. The girl from
Oh, I
Donnie Darko.
love those actors.
The girl from Donnie Darko,
When did you say it came out?
2008.
Ah, you're good.
Is that really when it came out?
Yeah. You're good. I even love Jenna Malone.
Yes.
Jenna Malone is in it. Okay, they're very like it actors
Of the time.
Yes. Jonathan Tucker, Sean Ashmore. Wait, who's that?
He's in like, isn't he the one in X-Men?
Yes.
And then that girl, she's just a hot blonde. I don't know what her name is.
Jenna Malone and Laura Ramsey. She's the only one I don't know who she is. But see, like, this is what's interesting to me. Like, when I Google this, it's like people also search for, and it's like all the Saw movies and stuff. Hostel. But it's not, it's better when it's not like a person torturing people.
I agree.
It's more interesting that it's something else,
I agree.
you know?
And we haven't given it away yet. So if you haven't seen that movie, you definitely should see it. It's fucking awesome.
See the movie
And
or
read the book.
read the book. The book is really good. The reason I read that book was because
Uncle Stevie.
Stephen King recommended it. It's so funny that my one unfinished experience with a Stephen King book has not gone well, because any book I've read that he recommended, he used to do an Entertainment Weekly. He used to do like his.
Didn't he call himself Uncle Stevie?
Yes.
Yeah.
I loved all the books that he recommended. Like, I don't know why I would read books that he recommended, but I did, and they were good. And like this book, I just love everything about it.
Yeah.
It's really good. The Ruins by Scott Smith.
Yep.
Yeah. Read it.
For
Super
sure.
good. And watch the movie, I guess. I don't remember the movie.
It's really good.
Right.
Okay, so we should wrap it up.
Yeah.
Overall, definitely go watch Save Yourselves.
Yeah.
Read The Songs of Distant Earth if you're a super hardcore sci-fi fan.
Or just read the short story.
Yes, you could read the short story. It'll save you time, and it's pretty much the same thing. And read and watch The Ruins.
Yeah.
I guess that's it.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Peace.
Bye.
What's up, Space Dreamers? Thank you so much for joining me today on this most enjoyable episode of The Space Dreamers. We talked about the slightly underwhelming, though still a decent science fiction novel, The Songs of Distant Earth. We have only 4 episodes remaining, 4 mainline Arthur C. Clarke novel episodes remaining in this podcast. I thank you deeply from the bottom of my heart if you have come along on this journey with us. Get ready for 4 more really exciting episodes, different novels that Clarke wrote toward the end there. You have the two Odyssey 3 and 4, and then we have Ghosts from the Grand Banks and The Hammer of God coming up. So today for this episode, I need to thank my co-host Heather for joining me and listening to my mad ravings about the ruins and characters who either do or do not speak English in science fiction stories. Big shout out to Kevin Lesage for making all the music that you heard in this episode. This week, I was really busy creating my new podcast, which will be coming very soon. So I did not have the time or the bandwidth to create ads, or we also didn't really speak about any specific moments in the book, any passages, so I did not include any voiceover work reading passages from the novel, but that's okay. We should have that back and ready to go for next week's episode, which will be all about 2061 Odyssey 3, the third, of course, Odyssey book, Space Odyssey book. So stay tuned for that. It's a pretty good episode. It's a pretty good book. Overall, please join us next week, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me this week. Bye-bye.
This has been a Sue Madre production. See you next time.